Hello, everybody. I'm Sharon Spurlock, and today I'm here to talk to you about applying for Medicaid, why you should consider it, and what the steps are to be able to do that. I want to make sure that people first know that in Missouri, our Medicaid is known as Mo Health Net. So if you have Mo Health Net, you have Medicaid. And if you're looking into that, it's the same thing. Medicaid is a federally funded program, and that means we all follow the same guidelines for that funding. It's a health insurance for people that have low income. But Medicaid also has other benefits when you're applying as a person with a disability. And I think it's important to understand why we might be recommending that you apply for Medicaid benefits. If you're a person with a disability and you have Mo Health Net in Missouri, you are eligible for case management services if you have a disability, a developmental disability, through the Department of Mental Health. So if you have a qualifying disability and you are a Medicaid recipient, you can get case management services. If you do not have Medicaid, you are still eligible to be a client of the Department of Mental Health, and you'll be in their master database. You have access to an information specialist that can answer questions, but you will not be assigned a case manager. That is a service that's only available in most of our counties if you have Medicaid. So that's the first thing, is that you are becoming a known entity to the state of Missouri in terms of possibly needing funding and support as you move forward with life. The second thing is that most services that are ongoing supports are going to be paid for through a Medicaid waiver. And what that means is that our state has entered into a contract with the federal government to expand what sorts of things Medicaid can pay for people with disabilities. So if I do not have a developmental disability, Medicaid for me might just be health insurance. If I've got autism or a cognitive disability, I could leverage Medicaid and get a waiver to pay for things like transportation, behavioral intervention, day program services, and residential in-home support. So lots and lots of services come through that waiver. The reason being that when we leverage the dollars through Medicaid, we get a supplement paid back from the federal government. So if the state of Missouri is authorizing you for $20,000 for day program services, we end up paying probably closer to $10,000 and the federal government pays the other 10. So it's very cost effective for the state to provide services using the funnel, the flow through of the Medicaid waiver. So I've talked about multiple steps there. You can have Medicaid and go along happily with just some case management services. As your situation changes and maybe you need some of those other services that are going to require payment, you might want to pursue waiver funding. And so that's something that you do with your case manager's support. They'll have to fill out a form basically identifying your need for funding, and they look at that and evaluate it against the needs of every other person in Missouri that needs funding. So it can be a lengthy process sometimes, depending upon how many dollars that you feel like you might need, how many services you might need. So it's best to start applying for that well in advance of the need for a service like day program supports or residential supports. Okay, so now applying for Medicaid is very similar to any other benefit system. They're trying to ensure that only people that are truly eligible get access. So it's sort of tedious and it's not super intuitive, but it's important to be able to go through these steps, not get distracted or frustrated, and get those pieces in place. So there's a list here I will add as to why Medicaid might be helpful to support a child who might have some additional expenses, and that's whether or not they have a disability. So for children, Medicaid provides an array of medically centered kinds of services, dental, vision, therapy services. Okay, so as with anything, it's going to be good to have information about anything that you have that's considered a financial asset. And then you'll send your application through Medicaid for a review process that takes them, it says 45 days here. It could be even more. Time consuming than that if they get backed up. There is access to a form that you can complete on paper, or you can go online and use this application portal here, where you can create your own password and apply and be able to track your information and have it available to you. As I said, there's some supplemental forms that you would also need to fill out. If you have a disability, you're going to need to fill out the form supplemental to disability so that you're giving them enough information about the disability for them to make a determination about eligibility. This form, you can track through here where you are in the process. We will have another video at a different time where we talk about spend down and some of the other programs attached to Medicaid. For right now, I just say Medicaid is not terribly cumbersome to figure out because it's less based upon, it's not as dependent upon finances as supplemental Social Security. So it's a somewhat quicker process to apply for the Medicaid program, more straightforward. So give it a go. Hopefully you'll be able to get Medicaid. If you have any issues, by all means, contact us at the St. Louis ARC 314-569-2211. We can help you apply through the process. We can help you appeal if for some reason you're not able to get the service. And I'll make a final statement that you also, Medicaid can be a secondary insurance. So Medicaid is always considered the funder of last resort. So if you have your child, your 25-year-old child on your work insurance, great. They can stay on that insurance, but you can also get Medicaid as a backup and an access towards some of these other services that wouldn't be paid for by traditional insurance. So that is a quick overview of Medicaid and how to apply for Medicaid. I hope that was helpful, and come back and see us again. Thank you.